I'm not performing on a stage. I'm not attaching something in an exhibition and doing, but I do make art and I do create things and I am exploring different fields. So just because it's not exposed doesn't mean that it's not art.
Hello, my name is Eline Perez and you're listening to Are You an Artist? Today's episode is with Maya Giulivi, who speaks about writing poems, anthropology, and hidden disabilities. I'm always learning so much from conversations with Maya. She's a very good friend, and I am super happy, pleased to share this episode with you today. Maya Giulivi, enjoy. Are you comfortable?
I'm comfortable, yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
For a lot of introspection?
I'll come out shaking.
Traumatized. Have you listened to the podcast at all?
I haven't. I've been terrible.
No, but I think that's good.
Okay.
Because you don't know what to expect.
No.
And I can also do terrible things.
Great.
Too.
I'll catch up later then.
No. Okay, so the way I start is I read out a letter I've written to the guest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know letters.
Yes, I do love a letter, so I'm excited.
Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Dear Maya, I got to know you through a letter exchange between France and Italy. I always love this moment. A letter from Maya would be like a new book, sometimes not far from an art piece. You would use different types of paper, write upside down and around, and always fold the letter in the most unique way. You would also ask me a lot of questions, leading to some self-reflection and stimulating my curiosity. You are a musician, a mover/choreographer who studies anthropology, but also a simple, funny and bright woman who likes to question and challenge yourself. So, Maya, my question today is, are you an artist?
Am I an artist? Yeah, I'm owning it again. There was a part of me that was shying away from it. I was like, I don't have a degree in art, but actually it's okay. Artist means having the curiosity to want to explore and play around and be curious. That's what an artist is for me, at least.
And when did you find that confidence again? Did something happen or?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is having a partner that is very confident. And that helped a lot. And also being a very supportive person, as she is, really helped me be like, with time, at the start I wasn't, but was just like, yeah, okay, I'm not performing on a stage. I'm not attaching something in an exhibition and doing, but I do make art and I do create things and I am exploring different fields. So just because it's not exposed doesn't mean that it's not art. Yeah. So I think that helped a lot. And just owning myself after a bit, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do it, That's for me. And when I want to share something, I will. And recently I've written a poetry zine that I will print out and share with friends.
Oh, nice. What's that, a poetry zine?
It's like a zine is like comes from the word magazine, I think. Mm-hmm. I might be wrong, but I think it's from magazine. And the idea is that you make it yourself.
Okay.
A lot of punk artists made them it's like to publish whatever you're sharing, basically, but in a very easy format and very accessible format. So it should be quite cheap, hopefully, fingers crossed. And it's also made by me, not professionally. And yeah, it's just got my poems in it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was music and guitar the first creative thing you did as a child?
Singing. I still love singing, but I've lost the confidence to go and sing out loud. A bit like you were telling me with your guitar. And I quite like your perspective on like you're not changing the world, so who cares? Just sing. Just
so
sing.
much pressure.
Yeah. I think it's my own pressure. I'm like, oh no, I can't sing perfectly. But actually, yeah, singing was my first entry point to the arts. And then I would say guitar was the second. And I completely fell in love with the guitar when I was young.
How old?
I would say around maybe 8.
Okay.
And it was something to help me with I had learning difficulties. So I struggled to speak and write. And so they would give me choir lessons. They would invite me to like practice singing and then also give me instrumental lessons. And the guitar was like my point of like, yes, I can play the guitar. I'll show everyone I can play the guitar. Yeah. And I used to write songs as well and force my sister to play with me.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have videos of that?
I think I do.
Okay, I would like to see them.
Yeah.
That's so cute. And when did you decide to train as a musician after
Yeah.
high school?
Yeah, so it was after secondary school, and it was always around this area of finding it hard to communicate and write. And so I thought, okay, my way into higher education is through an instrument, and I can also prove myself. And that's where I think I began my journey of losing love for music, which is coming from a place of like proving to people who I am. And I think it's a lost battle. There's no point trying to prove people who you are because you're not going to win it. There's always someone that's ready to say something. So yeah, I'm not as engaged in music as I used to be, but I do love music and I would like to return, but with a different energy and desire to do it. Yeah.
And actually, we need to share how we first met.
Yeah.
Because you were like studying music and I was studying dance.
Yes.
And you were like coming around with like all other dancers and moving with us.
Yes, yes. And it's funny because if I think about before going to Trinity Laban and studying music, I would say I wouldn't dance, I wouldn't move. It's not my thing. I like sport. I like being strong. I like being physical.
Yeah.
But moving and dancing, no, that's not for me. But seeing people at Laban really helped me understand that there's a way of expressing yourself and also just letting yourself go. And maybe that's also part of the journey of like, who cares, you know? I know for a lot of dancers, it was still very tied to like proving yourself.
Yes, yeah.
But for me, as an outside eye, for me, it was like overwhelming, a bit like singing now. Like, oh my God, there's so many people. Or, oh my gosh, if you want to edit that. And there's so many people looking at me and watching me, but actually, who cares, you know? And it was very liberating. And the people I was around were very like, let's be messy. And yeah, I would say messy and chaotic, which is actually a very beautiful thing and we need a lot of. And I met you, I watched you do an amazing, amazing performance. It was called Madame, no?
Yeah, solo, yeah.
Yeah, and you're so shy. Can I say that you're so shy?
I think I was a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I kind of knew, but I didn't. And then there was a huge response after, and I was not ready for that. I wanted to hide.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably... So, Eileen was watching others perform, and I just, like, at the end of that performance, I go up to her and I was like, you were amazing. And she looked at me and went, thank you, and put her head down and just walked off. And I think that was like our first entry point to becoming friends later
Maybe
on.
I looked a bit like a bitch, actually.
It was less that. I think you're just like, yeah, quite introverted in that moment.
Yeah.
And And yeah, I was just like, whoa, look at you. The performance was so good. It was so funny and provocative, but in a very playful and simple manner in a way. It wasn't too complicated as an idea, but you can tell there was a lot of processing that went to make that artwork and like symbolize something so clearly. I think the title itself kind of gives it away, is quite powerful. It's actually at times more challenging to make something that looks simple. And that is giving a clear message than it is to make something that is, exploring 100 topics at the same time. And I think that's something that throughout our friendship, there's an element of embodiment and awareness that you have that I really appreciate. I think it's led, just to a lot of my own introspection.
Because you did a lot of introspection.
And
what I was sharing in the intro, like these letters also, like you would ask me so many questions and I was like, what?
And some people find it incredibly overwhelming, and some people...
But I think I learned a lot from you, actually, about also asking myself and other people questions and to just go a bit deeper than these superficial conversations that we often have around. And so, anthropology. Yeah, well, that's kind of exactly that. I think it kind of takes my obsession with big questions and luckily I didn't dive into philosophy, otherwise God knows what kind of questions I'd be asking you right now. I love philosophy too, but anthropology looks at like the humans and society and all the social topics that we are immersed in daily, but really takes a lens of like, okay, let's look at this and like properly look at it. So like my degree is in creative arts and the cultural industry, so it has a lot of like curation aspect, and it's still, although I'm making a lot less, it's still reflecting a lot on creative arts. But then on the side, I have like a big interest and desire to look at other aspects. So I'm doing anthropology and climate change and anthropology of race, gender and sexuality, and looking a bit at the history and the present situations that are so central to all our lives, but in different ways. And obviously identity is a big part of it. And each of us encompass an identity or a multiple identities that also frame our way of viewing the world and how we interact with the world and what impact we have in the world. And although the origin isn't as nice, and if you want to look into that history, you understand why, anthropology allows you to look at other perspectives, allows you to understand a broader picture and how you fit into that as well. Yeah. Isn't it too overwhelming, that as well?
Incredibly overwhelming at times, yeah. How
do you manage with everything, with also your creative practice and this studying and your life?
Well, I would say, like a wave. Sometimes great, sometimes incredibly overwhelming. How I would like to manage it, maybe
that's great.
The answer I will give you. In an ideal world, and in a world that I would like to create more of, is how can we have discussions, but also stop talking and be a bit more somatic, and be more embodied, and like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, what are you going to do to make yourself feel less overwhelmed, Which is like in dance, in theatre, if you go and study them, that is part of the practice.
Yeah.
Doing somatic practice, understanding how you are in your body and so forth. If you're doing a theoretical course, or what some people think as academia, although everything is academia, then there's an idea that you stay in your head and like you have all this information. And actually, I think we would learn so much more if we did an approach of like learning and then embodying or releasing, because some topics are heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because I just realized actually that I really missed when I was in school, like younger, the physical part, because it was a lot of sitting down, and at some point I couldn't. But I like the like readings and things like that. And then training in dance, I really missed the intellectual part, because we just move in sometimes, stupid ways, like without any sort of research or whatever. And then I would feel like, no.
Yeah. And part of me dropping out in music was also that I didn't feel like there was a space to be curious and be like, okay, yeah, I played the classical guitar, but what's the wider history? What does it derive from? Where did the guitar travel? And all, there wasn't space for that.
You didn't have that at all?
No, we had music history.
Okay.
But it was very broad, and it was like a tiny bit of our course. And also looking at, even looking at some of the independent projects at Laban, it's always from a very personal and like me perspective.
Yeah.
And this is where I think actually, if we had conversations with anthropologists, if we had conversations with communities, if we actually spent time reading and absorbing and finding this balance between intellectualizing, because intellectualizing sometimes divorces you from actually engaging in if we gave space to all these different ways of learning, we would actually be able to create some works of art that really hold depth.
Yeah. And maybe speak to people also.
And speak to people. And also acknowledge that, you know, there's a lot about how you interpret it that isn't universal.
Yeah.
You know? and understanding what is a universal and what isn't. And holding that space for the differences and the similarities, rather than I am right because I am a woman and therefore I experience my life like this. And that's like, yeah, great. You experience your life like that because you're, in this case, a woman. But what other experiences do women have, and what other intersections are there that need to be addressed as well? So intersections can be a disability, can be the color of your skin, it can be your class, you know, and all these experiences are very different actually within one intersection that you may share, which is like being a woman.
And I'm thinking now, because you've experienced quite a bit of life before coming back to studying, and your classmates are a bit younger, no?
Yeah.
And coming straight from high school for most.
Yeah.
How does it feel like?
You know what? I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I always find myself surrounded by people that are genuinely just feel wise. You know, they're still growing, but sometimes I look at them and I'm like, wow, you know, at that age, I would not be like that. Yeah, some of them, I'm really surprised at how informed and wise, and also how much they want to take action, but also just friendly and aware to hold that space and the differences between us. So I don't mind having younger friends. Maybe I'll stay a bit younger myself. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah.
And maybe actually with a subject like this, it brings also interesting people, right?
Yeah. And also because my course is so broad, I find that my friends have very different interests. And sometimes if you're in a class that you're not learning that much, or it's not great for you, you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's almost like it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but the people next to you have so much knowledge, especially about a certain area, that it doesn't really matter. Yeah. because you can learn so much from people around you.
And do you have an idea about where you'll be in 5 years?
Good question.
Or dream?
Do I have an idea? No, because I'm not in the future yet. But
You're not?
no, I'm. Yeah, but yeah, I think I was expressing this a lot to my partner. I think I would like to be a diversity activist. I would like to concentrate on everything, but I would want a team for that, because I know there's certain experiences and understandings that I may not be able to understand in my lifetime, or have the awareness to and also the right to express certain topics, and that's why you need a team. Community is always key. Always have a team. But I would like to concentrate on hidden disabilities, if I could pick one at the moment. But within creative arts, I have a hidden disability. I have more than one hidden disability. So it's so central to my life. And I feel like disabilities often go unnoticed, and because we need so much energy to just live with a disability, our voices often are left unheard, because we don't have the energy to go and explain, and actually this is another need of ours, you know. So I think I have enough of a drive to want to talk about that, and also find environments that could benefit, because there's a lot of things like Crip Theory. If you check Crip Theory,
What's that?
it's a theory about talks about disability, and how actually there's a lot to learn from disability as well. I would say research it yourself, just to understand, like, so that people can go, and if they're curious, they're going to go and search. If they're not, then they won't, and that's fine. But yeah, the idea is that actually you have a lot to learn from people that are disabled as well. You know, we are differently abled, and we use our bodies differently and our minds differently. And that causes a disability in certain environments and with certain people. But there are also a lot of things you can learn, and a lot of advantages to being disabled, which sounds weird, but there's a lot of perspectives that other people won't have, because they haven't embodied a disabled body. That's what I'm trying to get through. Yeah.
And I have a feeling also that actually disabled people are stronger in a way, because they had, it's so difficult.
Resilient.
Yeah.
Very resilient, and very, not all the time, but I think heightened empathy, and depending on the disability, of course. But because we are so aware of our needs, and like having to acknowledge that as well, and learn about our needs, we are aware of like greater societal needs as well, and things that need to change. Yeah.
And is there something you've created that you're very proud of?
Well, yeah, I would say the zine is about anxiety, but I purposely didn't. I called it anxious, but I don't spell it out fully, and it looks at all types of anxiety, from relationship anxiety to a mixture of anxieties, and also emotions, which is almost like when you allow yourself to have an emotion, that is also sometimes in certain situations the breaking through anxiety. Like, what is that anxiety flagging, and what is the emotion that is underneath that wants to ball up, you know? And so there's a mixture of that. and an overthinker, as you can figure out by the amount of speaking. I'm also an overthinker, so there's a poem about that. So, and wood carving. I love wood carving, so I love making things out of wood. Yeah, so I'm really proud about that. I made a really nice spoon. Yeah.
And so that's going to be available just for friends, or?
Yeah, I think I'll start with friends and then I might expand it.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you want to, I'll keep you informed. And
Yeah.
yeah, people can watch and see.
Oh.
Awesome.
And what's your favorite part of a creative process?
What's my favorite part? I think podcasts, because I'm listening to others. And my brain is doing most of the churning in that time. It's like a broth, just pop everything into that creative process, like all other people's voices and opinions, and let my brain churn. And then I would say having that moment where it's like, oh, that's a nice phrase, and just writing down that phrase, usually on the tube or
so wait,
in transit.
You kind of actively listen to podcasts to create, or does it just come that it just happens that you listen and you're like, oh, I need to create something from there?
Yeah, so I'm a nerd, so I just listen to podcasts all the time.
Me too.
And
people think I'm crazy. There was a moment I think I was listening to 8 to 9 hours per day.
Oh wow!
When I was like not working so much, and I would just, when I was living on my own, I'm eating, I'm doing that, I'm just listening.
It's kind of nice, and also you don't have to have a conversation with others. That sometimes is quite liberating. And I like that, but I also love talking. But no, it's great. It depends. Like I have to write about climate change at the moment, so I'm listening to climate change podcasts. But usually, it's very psychology orientated, but random stuff as well, and that helps me overthink. And create eventually.
And do you prefer to work on your own or with people?
A balance of both. I love people. The only thing is, I like organization as well. So if the people aren't organized, it can get on my nerves. But I also have terrible time management, which is ironic. But yeah.
And when is a creation finished?
Good question. I think a creation is finished for me when I'm like, okay, done. It might not be perfect, but I'm confident enough that it's just, this is the point. Otherwise, I'll just carry on and carry on and carry on. If I notice that there's a point where I'm just trying to tweak, I'm like, no. There's a part of me that's like, okay, this is the chaotic part where I'm like, yeah, okay, and don't go too deep down, otherwise you'll get nothing done, which is my perfectionist side. And that side is useful just to do the last tweaks before the, yeah. The hands would be useful in this podcast, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Italian, eh?
Yeah, Italian.
I miss that here sometimes when people, they are just like so straight, not moving at all.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. So can you list what's your practice? Because so you write now quite a bit also with your studies. Do you still play the guitar at the moment, or you?
No, I allow myself to play the guitar when I'm feeling like playing the guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you sing?
No. No, so
Give me your best note.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I would say, no, I'm playing the kora, not very well. I'm a bit lazy. I would say music-wise, I'm quite lazy, but not lazy in a good sense. Like I just let myself be where I'm at. No, I would say a lot of writing.
Do you dance also?
Dance. I'm trying to do more dance. I'm feeling in these current weeks that I'm really going to go back into it. So no, I must say I felt very blocked after conservatoire. And I'm realizing now that's okay. And exploration is also having a pause, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing much of I like poetry, a lot of poetry. And now I'm doing guitar for my own pleasure once in a while, and dancing when I go out. That's pretty much it. But I want to do more classes. So if you want to go to a class or you just want to boogie, let's do it.
Yeah, I love to boogie.
Yeah, let's do it. I would love that. Yeah.
And what type of artwork interests you?
Well, one artwork that really interests me is walking down the street and seeing random things that aren't that special, but I really just like. And
All
I
right,
take
simple pleasures, right?
A simple pleasure.
So, yeah, Maya used to... Are you still doing it? Because
I'm doing it for myself,
okay.
yeah.
Used to share on Instagram like pictures of her day and write simple pleasures.
Yeah, I might start that again. Yeah, and it's just the idea that I see something and I'm like, that's kind of nice. That's beautiful. To me, it's an artwork. I'm going to post it, and just like, it brings me pleasure. It's simple, nothing complicated. Let's put it online. And I really enjoyed them.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's refreshing also because now it's all about the new things and being faster and doing more and more and consuming more. And I feel like just going back to simple pleasures, the simplicity of things, it's a bit of a relief.
Yeah. And if you're a big thinker like me, you want to be a bit of a perfectionist. And I also have a bit of a issue with being perceived.
Being perceived, being seen?
Being seen, or like the image of others, what they think about me, and maybe less what they think about me. Yeah, no.
Have you always had that? Not young, right? Because you were quite outgoing and from what you were sharing, a bit of sporty.
I read a letter. This is a bit of a random insight and it's a bit strange to share online, but so I was diagnosed with anxiety when I was quite young, at 9 years old. And in that letter, it says that I had this strong sense of like having to work hard and like prove that I was doing well. And the irony is that I feel like it's followed me throughout life. And I think it links back to that whole disability thing. But it's also, I think, also part of my character trait, and also why I love asking questions and stuff in a weird way, because I really like knowing. And I think that's why I like art that doesn't do that. So Eline will know, and also the people within the collective will know, I'm a big fan of mass hysteria.
Woo!
So watch out for them, because I'm sure they'll do more things.
Yeah, it was a collective of dance artists from my year.
Yeah.
Amazing women, and
and they're chaotic, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I think it's exactly that, is because I'm so like trying to know and and they are very like,
let's do things. Yeah, for me also it was a big relief, because like I would go to this evening and they would just do like performance after performance, like in the living room, in the bathroom, inviting different artists
and spaces, like
very, very creative and super spontaneous also. And I was like, that's different.
Yeah.
Especially when you're training and they show you these big dance companies and what should be done and what shouldn't. And just a bit like, you need a bit of chaos.
100%. I couldn't agree more. They were very chaotic. They used different environments that weren't conventional, like people's houses. They would literally ask friends, like, can we do an event in your house? And each room would have, and I loved it. And I still love them.
I try to invite a lot in this podcast, I think. And as a human being, what is your strength?
As a human being, I am a very curious, loving person. I love people. And when I love you, I'm like, I'm intentional. So I think that is definitely a trait of mine that I really respect. And I have a strong sense of care and justice. Yeah, so I really care about people. So I think that's a very good trait of mine. Sometimes to my advantage, sometimes not. But it is something that I'm grateful that I have. And I'm curious. Yeah.
I'm also grateful that you have that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
It is also very inspiring.
What's your strength?
Actually, now I would say probably also the curiosity, because I feel like it keeps me very alive. And it keeps me going. And being a bit more playful also with the creativity and not caring so much about the gaze or the people's judgments.
Brava, the gaze, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Very curious minds. I think that's why we get along. Yeah.
Is there anything that scares you?
Yeah. Like on a more like silly note, I'm not a fan of insects. I hate the feeling of like creepy crawlies and yeah.
Were you traumatized by some insects being on you? Or?
It's a fear in the family.
Okay.
So my mom's scared of it. My grandfather was also scared of it, and all my siblings are scared of it. I think maybe Dahlia isn't, but the rest are. So definitely that one. And then like more, I do have a fear of abandonment, of being left, but also that's very deep. But also, yeah, just like being taken advantage of, I think, is a fear of mine as well. Yeah.
Did it happen and then you...
Yeah, I think both cases, it's a past history kind of thing. So, but they haunt me in the present. And it's also having that awareness helps. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that. And also hurting others. I would hate to hurt others, but I think it's part of the nature of being human, and there will be times where you will hurt others.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, what if I'm a bad person? Yeah, but I don't think I am.
No, I don't think you are.
I sometimes make bad decisions.
But yeah, also we are human beings, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah. What's your fear?
I don't know. That's what I ask people, the questions. I mean, I have many, many fears. Yeah, losing people. This big one. Losing people I love. I'm afraid of my brain also, and anxiety sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it keeps surprising me and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, anxiety is a crazy one.
Yeah.
You think you're under control and then it...
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yo!
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid of a lot of things.
Yeah. There's one more fear that I would want to share. I dropped out of Trinity Laban because I developed a disability. I don't know if developed is the right word, but it's called functional neurological disorder, and it's quite rare. And one of the first thoughts, I was at a performance, a dance performance, was not, oh no, I can't play the guitar anymore. It was, I can't move anymore.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which became a fear of mine, was like, I can't do the thing that is really like deep down important to me, is moving. So I do have a fear, I would say, of not being able to move.
Fascinating.
Yeah, because at the time, before I used to be incredibly athletic, I'd say. I would be there used to be like exercises for dancers and stuff. And
in the conditioning studio.
Yeah, they're quite intense because dancers are pretty strong and flexible, and I would attend them and I used to love them. But then when I got this, it just went, and I couldn't do that anymore. So it was a big fear it was a real reality at that time. I couldn't move as I was so used to. And that's carried on. I realized how important moving is and how paralyzed I can sometimes feel in my body or numb. So that's why like my relationship with dance is interesting, and how that's why like even having my dance friends and people that move is so important to me as well. Yeah.
And somatic practices also, right?
Somatic practice, yeah. I love shiatsu, cranio. I do yoga, but in a way that almost isn't yoga. But why I bring that up is like I think you can have an appreciation and understanding of what other benefits can come from yoga beyond its religious, spiritual need, whilst also acknowledging that you're not necessarily practicing yoga per se. You're practicing an appreciation for the practice, if that makes sense. Because there is a big culture of like, I have a yoga class and we're gonna sweat a lot. We're gonna be very strong and flexible and
very slim.
Yeah. Or you can get the complete opposite, where it's like, oh, I'm incredibly spiritual and I want to respect those people and I'm okay with where they're at, and that's all right as well. But for me, when I mean yoga, I mean an appreciation of it. I practice it in a way that benefits my nervous system. I see that how some of those poses that are associated with yoga have a great impact on my body and my mind, and I practice them in that sense with a wider awareness that yoga doesn't only mean downward facing dog, for example.
Although it's a great pose.
It's a great pose. I love it.
What's your strongest desire in life?
Strongest desire? To feel connected and maybe have a community, a strong sense of community and responsibility, where I feel heard. Yeah. Connection. Yeah.
Do you still want to be liked and approved, and by who?
Yeah, of course. Definitely my partner. Number one. But sometimes you're not. And those times it's hard. Yeah. Parents. In an ideal world, that would be the case. Sometimes teachers, I'm like, the teacher's pet in me is like, yeah, I want it. And in certain environments, I feel like I have to, I see a part of me that's like, I want to be liked. But then I realize, like, if they like me, they like me. If they don't, they don't. And it's not something that I care about too much. But obviously, it does creep up, yeah. And it does come along sometimes.
And who inspires you?
Who inspires me?
Your partner?
Yeah, my partner. But not only. So Darcey Dixon inspires me a lot.
Because she's an artist too.
She's an artist, she's an actor, she's a singer, she's a dancer, she's a mover, she's a lot of things. And she's definitely an interdisciplinary artist and activist as well. But she has a very creative, playful way to life, and also knows that she can go for it. And I really respect that. Just that ability to just go for it. And sometimes she's chaotic, and maybe that's also why I like her. Back to like a mass hysteria style. Yeah, I think it kind of balances out. But not only David Lee, I haven't spoken to him in a while, but David Lee, And Tina, of course.
Montageline, a tiny bit of context. David, Lee and Tina were teachers at the school we trained in. They are really great people, and I actually hope that they will come to this podcast one day. Fingers crossed.
Henry Montes was the first
Dance teacher that you...
dance teacher that made me dance. So I was in a collab project with him, and he told me like,
Oh yes, I remember now. You told me.
Yeah, you can join and do the dance instead. So I did both, but he was the one like, yeah, you're dancing.
And really, not all dance teachers would do that.
No,
really
and
not.
I think he saw a potential to,
and maybe a desire also,
and a desire. Maybe he saw that I was very hidden behind my instrument. Yeah, so I need to thank them all a ton. And then a lot of friends as well, in different elements and different ways. You have definitely inspired me, especially during lockdown.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, you too, because you were one of the rare people I was really in touch with at that time also.
Yeah.
And I'm glad.
Yeah.
that it wasn't someone else.
Me too. I'm Hysteria. I would name each one, but there are 12 of them, so they know who they are. And I love them. Yeah.
If you were an animal.
If I was an animal. Very good question. So
I know I'm a great podcast interviewer.
Yeah. I'm going to play a game with you that Darcey Dixon played on me. Because at their school, they have to, part of their degree is also learning how to be an animal. So what's the first animal that comes to mind?
To my mind?
Yes.
Dogs.
Second?
Dolphin. I don't know why. Snakes.
Awesome. So dog is how you see yourself. Dolphin is how other people see you. And snake is what you actually are.
I was too stressed by the question. I just said random animals.
That's perfect. That's
great.
No, I think that's how it works. I think I'm a cat. Okay. People see a tiger, but I'm really a sloth.
Animal is horrible.
It's kind of cute.
It's really. I mean, I like yours.
Yeah.
Can we swap?
It's so funny.
But it shows something, though, is also that what you think you are and what other people think you are is not who you are.
Yeah.
And that I think I have to keep thinking about that also. Yeah. When I'm afraid to be judged by others, that actually they don't see who I am and that I don't see who I am myself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy, yeah?
So still applying that curiosity to yourself, because we get so bogged down in who we are, our identities, our story, our narratives. But then who are we really?
Snakes and sloths.
The best.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color, I'm exploring colors at the moment. But
so from a specialist?
From a specialist, yeah, I would go for royal blue at the moment. That might change.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is the color I'm wearing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Moving, dancing, having a good laugh, having a great conversation like this one. Walking in green, animals, love cats. I do love a dog as well, just not fan of barking, but it's okay.
Yeah, but you can find some who don't.
Yeah, that don't bark. But if they're in the green anyway, I'm happy. Big walk, simple pleasures, wood carving, so therapeutic, love it. Yeah. And a choir, masses, like a beautifulness, masses of beautifulness, like people moving, people dancing, people singing, folk music of many different genres. Yeah.
Any band recommendation?
Well, there's a rapper that is quite good, Sampa the Great.
Okay.
There's a song that when I need a oomph, I call her Hey Sampa, and it's called Let Me Be Great.
Ooh.
And the title says it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you could meet yourself when you were 15 years old and say something, would you?
I like the would you. Would I say something? I think I would listen rather than say. I would sit down and be genuinely listening to them, and like a bit like your questions. I would just like see what they have to say and bounce off that. Because I think, at least as a teenager, maybe I didn't feel heard enough, and it's something that still comes with me, and I would have loved someone to just sit there and listen to me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there anything you knew you would like to learn to do?
House dancing. I would like...
Oh, house, like...
Yeah.
Okay.
House. I would love to do... I feel a bit shy saying this, but I like Afro beats. Yeah, maybe some Afro beats. I would love to play a new instrument.
Anything in mind?
Well, maybe it might just still be guitar, but
electric guitar,
like bass, and go for a different style. There's so much. I would love to be able to make a chair out of wood or some sort of like physical.
That's great. So you can replace this horrible white chair that is in my room.
Yeah, something on those lines. I think. Okay. Yeah. How about you?
I would quite like to learn to do burlesque or cabaret dance.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's a bit.
I can see you do that.
Yeah. And actually now I'm making a bit of a list of everything I want to do that I've never done, like horse riding, things like that.
I want to be choreographed as well. I would like to make something where someone choreographs me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes I don't feel entitled to say, I'm a mover, I'm a dancer. But actually that is part of my life, and that's something I want to do more of, like choreograph and also be choreographed, and make dance or movement more part of my trajectory as well. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful way to end, I think.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything more you want to share or?
No. It's just great that I haven't seen you in a while, and
we're doing this now.
Yeah, we're back at it. Yeah.
I want to see you all the time now.
Yeah. We need to meet again.
Forgot how great you were.
Same. There we go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya. If you enjoy this podcast, please give it a 5 stars on your favorite platform. It really supports me, and then I can interview all the artists of the world until I die. Merci!